Hello everyone, welcome to our second Diamond Report, and welcome to some of you that are new to this. Each week I hope to send out a Diamond Report related to NSAA high school baseball, send it to umpires, ADs, coaches, and talk through some of the things we're seeing out in the field and across the baseball landscape. First and foremost for this week, number one, it's a new baseball season, and I just want to make it clear we're operating as an organization here in our office in pre-pandemic mode. So there's no COVID guidance. All scheduled games should be played. Schools can't just COVID out of games and not get hit with a forfeit if that game is not made up. I just want to be clear with that from the get-go. Secondly, you'll see in the attached Diamond Report some info surrounding that new change to pitching rule 611. Don't want to cover it in great detail here on the video, but make sure you've reviewed that if you have not already, both coaches and umpires. Next, two topics that continue to evolve and change quite often, and honestly there's not a specific NFHS baseball rules on it, rather rules committee interpretations, and that deals with radar gun usage and also areas in which you can put that radar gun, but also use of video during gameplay. Let's start with the radar gun. If you are using a radar gun just individually from your dugout, that's fine. It's legal. There's case studies on that. If you're going to have a radar gun, outside of your dugout, in play, in use, and you want to then either Bluetooth display that speed into your dugout, or you're putting it on the scoreboard, because that radar is now outside of the dugout, both teams have to have access to that in real time. So that's first and foremost. This is something we've talked about even way back into 2019. Similarly, I've had some requests to use video during competition. So let me comment on that. Number one, your team personnel, coaches, players, can't be in uniform running your cameras. Okay. Secondly, if you're going to use cameras during gameplay, don't have them in center field. Don't even make it close. Have it in far right or left field or outside of the live ball areas down the foul lines or behind the screens. If you're taping the game and using it for later, no big deal. But if you're using video in real time to get live feedback from the game, both teams have to have access to that feed. And that's not a question, and there's no wiggle room there. Both teams would have to have access to that live game feed. But again, the key is do not put it in center field. Don't even make it close. Have it in far right or left field or outside of those foul lines, out of the live ball area, or behind the backstop. So just a couple of comments on that. The other thing I'll mention with both topics is stay patient with this. There's going to be some things changing with both these topics probably in the next couple of years, maybe even yet this spring, because these topics are evolving and a lot of it's predicated on the technology available to you as coaches. Let's go to some specific notes dealing with officiating and umpires. Number one, umpires, make sure you're putting your game schedules on the NSAA website. I've got 4 observers this year. I've got Jeff Graver helping out of the Fremont area. He'll hit a lot of Omaha and Lincoln. Matt Ossenfort from the Omaha area. Jason Harstick and Tim Hahn will be helping in Lincoln area and hitting out west some. Those 4 need to be able to see when you're working games in order to see it. So umpires, make sure you're putting those games into the schedule. Also, your postseason consideration application needs to be in by Friday, April 8th. So get that done as soon as you can. And then finally for coaches, 2 things. Remember, you cannot add games now that the season started. So once we start gameplay tomorrow, cannot change, add games, etc. And then secondly, coaches, make sure you're educating your kids on hitting leagues. I'm hearing of a lot of these popping up, especially in our metro areas. Some of our baseball facilities are having hitting leagues for high school players during the season. I have yet to see one that would fit the bill to be allowable without any penalty. And that surrounds NSAA bylaw and approved rulings for 3.51. Make sure you're educating your kids on that and that outside participation rule, where it even involves group instruction or competition or even competing in any skill of the sport. Make sure you're educating your kids on that so they don't get nipped after the fact. Anyway, again, welcome to the season. Hope we all have a great start to it. Hopefully this weather holds. And as always, reach out to me if you got questions.